This is Canyon Creek in Washington. We are taking out where Highway 503 crosses Lake Merwin, putting in where Healy Road goes over Canyon Creek. The first mile and a half or so is pretty easy. There's some surf spots, there's some rapids that you can tell what's going on from up above. Um, my cue that I'm almost at the end of those first warm-up rapids is this rapid right here. There's a big wide hole on the top left of it that you can do spins in. It's pretty gentle. There's also this waterfall you can see looking upstream of it. Um, there are a couple more warm-up rapids after that one. This is 417 CFS. I felt like the rapids looked more different from each other at lower water. Um, and then as you're coming around this corner here, you're coming up on Swizzle Sticks. That, if you want to eddy out, it's where that pink boat is coming from there. For Swizzle Sticks, I start on the right, and then I'm lining up for a little boof back to the left, just trying to get in the margin between the wall on the right and that ledge on the left there. Um, there's a couple more drops in the gorge here. They kind of get easier as it goes on. This one, I'm just trying to stay basically on the current, not get pushed into the eddies on either side. I do get pushed into this eddy on the right here. Here it is at 892 CFS. Some people boof this hump just to the left of where I go. I just run the same line as I do at low water. Um, then next drop, again, riding the current right down the middle, trying not to get pushed into the eddies on either side. It's pretty fun when you do it right. I do a better job this time. There's one more drop at the later in the gorge here. It's very similar to the last move, but easier, staying on the current between the eddies. And then in the run out, it's just constricted, but nothing really to watch out for in the rest of the gorge. Next up is Terminator. At the end of this little mini gorge, you want to get real close to the left wall and then turn and boof back to the right. I usually take two right strokes in a row, a right stroke to get up on that current coming off the wall there, and then another right boof stroke. Here it is at 417 CFS, same move. There's more rocks, but there's channels around them, so you kind of have to pick a line around the rocks, but it's the same move at the end, just a stroke to get up on the current there, and then a boof stroke. There's some nameless stuff after Terminator. This boof right here is pretty fun. Um, Most of it is pretty easy. The one move that I've had get me before is this right here. I just boof right of center, but I've had it flip me over before. I've seen it happen to other people. Here it is at lower water. In Prelude, I've just moved to the right behind this shelf here. There's this rock coming up here. I always go left of it. At higher water, you can go right of it, but lower water, it's shallow over there. And then just coming down the right bank and then boofing back to the left, right up here. 417 CFS, it's the exact same line. You can see the rocks better. Everything's moving a lot slower, but you're going the exact same place. There's more exposed rocks, so you have to go around them, but the line is exactly the same. Right after Prelude is Thrasher. You can get out on the left and scout it if you want to, but you can see the move pretty much from the bottom of the eddy on the left there. I like a lot of momentum to break through this wave right here, and then a good left boof stroke. If you aren't assertive enough paddling into it, you can get slapped back to the left pretty easily like this. But you don't want to be too far right either, because if you get too high on that rock, you lose your momentum. This hole has a reputation for being pretty sticky. I did get surfed in there one time at about 800 CFS, and I did manage to get out of it. At first I was pointed to the right, and I wasn't able to get out on that side, but I got flipped over, came up pointed back to the river left side, and I did manage to drag myself out on that side. I kind of got flipped over again, but I held on to some of the current down there, and it pulled me out. This is the lead into Boulder. Boulder feels like a different type of rapid than everything else in Canyon Creek. It's not just a boof or two, it's a rapid. For the lead in, you can kind of go a lot of different places. If it looks like you can go either way around a rock, you probably can. If you want to scout the main part of Boulder, this eddy on the left here I think is a good place to scout it from. The crux of Boulder is this thing right here. You want to be in the middle of that tongue of water. It's called the whoop-de-doo. It kind of bounces you up. It's a lot of fun. And then down here, there's a wave where you want to be kind of pointed left coming into it. Here it is from below. There's a nasty eddy on the right side. If you end up in that eddy, it can be pretty hard to get out of. I went in there one time at 900 CFS, and I got swirled around and around in it a couple times. I had to get turned around so my boat was pointed back upstream, and then kind of drive and ferry really hard into the current to get out of it. It was pretty tricky. 417 CFS. The first thing I'm looking for is this rock on the right here. I try to be right next to that rock. That hole just to the left of it has surfed me before at about 450 CFS, so I make sure I'm right next to the rock so I don't hit the hole, keep it real straight for the whoop to do, and then moving left and getting some right hand angle or left hand angle for that last drop there so I don't end up pushing the eddy on the right. And yeah, that's Boulder. I've run the exact same line at 800 CFS and it went fine. I tried it a couple times at 900 and it didn't. The problem is if you start right next to the rock, it's really hard to get far enough left at the bottom. So the first time I got swirled around that eddy. The second time is this line right here. I remembered that it was hard to get far enough left, so I tried to anticipate that move to the left, going into the whoop-de-doo a little more, and I just got knocked off balance and was stuck on a brace for a second, and I didn't get far enough left at the bottom, and I just got swallowed in the V there. The next time I ran it at that level, Lewis showed me this line right here. Instead of staying right at that hole, you can just cut across it. It's not sticky at 900. And that gives you a lot more time over on the left to line up for the next two drops the way you want. The funny thing is, I think I used to always cut across that hole like 8 or 9 years ago, and I tried to do it once at 450 and got surfed in there, and so then I just kind of changed my line to always running to the right of it. So it's a low water line and a high water line. Right after Boulder is the lead into Kahuna. Kahuna is the biggest drop on the run. This lead-in rapid, you can run a lot of different places, but if you want to scout the drop, you got to get to this eddy on the right here. One thing to look out for in Kahuna is the wall at the bottom left of the drop. It overhangs into the current a little bit. You don't want to go into there. Another thing to look out for is this undercut wall on the right. If you get kicked to the right coming out of the drop, you can end up against that thing. I've seen people get flipped over there. So it's just another thing to be aware of. I think the most common and probably the easiest way to run the drop is to start in this eddy behind the rock at the top. And there you can just line up and catch this nice little boof about a third of the way down the drop. At low water, the eddy there is really calm and pronounced, and you can see the shelf that you want to be just left of, and as you're starting to go down, you just want to grab the lip of this thing here with your left paddle and get a nice boof stroke. At 900, that eddy's a little more turbulent, but you can still do the same move. Just come out in there. I usually spin around to the left like that, and then I just line up just to the left of that. There we go. Another option is to just run the rapid direct and not worry about that eddy spin there. The tricky thing is that those rocks that make the eddy you do the spin around in are right in the way of where you want to be coming in. So you have to do a little zigzag move at the end where you turn to the right and then back to the left again. You do have more momentum that way, but you don't really need the momentum. So either line, I think, works just fine. I think the eddy spin is easier, though. When the water gets higher than this, you might want to run it direct and those rocks will be underwater, but at these levels, either line goes. Phil ran it straight from this eddy on the right. That looked great too. I think you just got to be careful not to get pushed into the wall on the left. After Kahuna, there are a couple of rock garden style rapids that are quite a bit easier than all the other stuff in this area. I don't think that they have names. The consequences are mostly just grinding over rocks if you're in the wrong place, but in this one here, I like to be on the left and then kind of come out the right side of the left channel. And then this next one here, Lewis kind of showed me this line, kind of right of center. That seems like the only place you can run that rapid without scraping over rocks. Around the next corner, there are two really nice boofs back to back. The first one's called Champagne, and the second one's called Hammering Spot. For Champagne, it's hard to see the horizon line until you're really close, but I just stay basically right in the middle of the channel until I can see like a rock point in front of me. And then I move out towards that rock point, but before I get to the end of it, I turn left and take a left boof stroke. Um, Hammering spot, there's a nice flake to hit pretty far right. You want to be pretty close to the right wall, and yeah, that flake is just a nice thing to launch off of. Here it is at 417. Basically, same line in Champagne. The thing about Champagne, if you're pointed too far right, you can end up in the eddy on the right, and it isn't that big a deal, but you have to ferry really hard back out of it, and then turn and paddle really hard to the right again, so it's just not as smooth. At 417, I don't hit the flake and hammering spot. I go just left of it. The flake's a little more exposed at that level. I have been hitting the flake in the 500s, but it feels like I lose a bunch of momentum in there and sort of plunge in a little bit, so I think I'm going to stop hitting it at these levels and just go left of it. There's a really sticky pocket on the river left side of Hammering Spot, so that's the main thing to worry about in this rapid is ending up in there. Kayaker actually drowned in there. The AW report said it was about 17 or 1800 CFS. So Canyon Creek does have a reputation for getting more dangerous when the levels get higher. 900 is about as high as I've run it. That's high enough for me. After Hammering Spot, you got this steep, fast little rapid, and then you are right above Toby's. There was a death in this rapid too. A long time ago, somebody got pinned in his upside down kayak right in the center here. People don't really run that center line anymore. I guess I know one guy who does, but I've heard the easiest option is to just drop off the backside of this rock over here on river left. Most people I know run this right line. I think it was Sam who told me that he likes to come in really slow with his boat pointed mostly downstream. And since I started doing that, it's been going a lot better for me. I used to ride up on these rocks here a lot, but it feels like if you come in without much momentum, instead of your momentum carrying you into the rocks, you just kind of like land and the current picks you up and takes you around the rocks. So I've done that, I think, about the last 10 times I've run this river, and it's been working out really well for me. I've been really happy with it. Usually I end up on the left side of the rocks. This time I got taken right of the rocks, but that happens sometimes, and either way it seems to go just fine. 417 CFS, same line. Take a look to the left as you're coming into the booth. If you turn left too early, there's a rock you can piton on. You don't want to hit that thing. So there's a little bit of run out after Toby's. Nothing to be concerned about. Pretty straightforward read and run. In a couple minutes, you'll hit the reservoir. You're going to take a left. It's probably about a 25-minute paddle out, I would say. And the takeout is under the bridge on river left, or reservoir left, I guess. And that's Canyon Creek.